It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
On today's I'll Do Better Tomorrow, Kylie revisits homeschooling, and I'm starting to get it together. I think that's what I'm going to call it. But I want to let you know, Kylie, I didn't tell you about this. I took Emily, our 10-year-old, to the aquarium the other day. She has the membership because of the whole homeschool thing. I took her to the aquarium. Didn't stay long, though. Ask me why.
Why?
Something fishy about that place.
You're terrible. You're terrible.
All right. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're so glad to have you along. Every Friday on the podcast, we talk about how we're being intentional in our parenting, what went well, what didn't, how we can be better tomorrow. That's why it's called I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Kylie.
Last Saturday, I attended the Resilient Kids Conference with you in Perth.
It was a big weekend. We had about 750 parents in an auditorium. There was me, Maggie Dent, Karen Young, and Michelle Mitchell, all talking about ways that we can help our kids to be resilient. And yeah, you came along, and I think you were kind of the star of the show at the book table. Everyone was like, "Are you really Kylie Coulson from the Happy Families podcast? I love you."
Well, I love that nobody actually realizes who I am. They just think I'm one of your helpers.
Everyone's talking to me. You're Justin. I'm like, yeah, this is Kylie from the podcast. And their eyes light up. People are so happy to meet you. And then everyone says, you don't look anything like I thought you'd look.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what they expected.
I used to get that when I was a radio announcer. People obviously see my face a lot on socials now, but when I was a radio announcer, they'd say, you don't look anything like I thought you'd look. I'm like, you thought I was 6'4", dark-haired and handsome, and you've got me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway, back to the Resilient Kids Conference.
It was so nice interacting with everybody and just hearing their stories. And it's always nice to know that something that you're doing is actually having an impact and making a positive difference in other people's lives. One mum came up to us and she just said, I need to tell you, your help or hug tip has revolutionized our family. And she was
so for those who
absolutely glowing. She was so excited to tell us this.
For those who are not familiar with the help or hug, when your kids are upset, you say, do you want me to help you, or do you want a hug, or do you just want me to give you some space? That's the idea, right? The whole, let's step in and give somebody some autonomy when they're upset, but acknowledge that they're upset. And then, do you want a hug? Do you want me to be with you? Do you want to talk? Or should I just give you some space? It's a game changer. And I discovered that when you were angry with me one time. But it really works with parenting.
I told everyone I'm your guinea pig. So anyway, a number of mums came and talked to me about homeschooling and their journey. Others came to me and asked me how it was going because they were thinking about it.
So many people are fascinated by homeschooling.
And others came to me kind of almost in tears because they desperately want to do it, but they just don't have the capacity to. And it's such a hard line to kind of have to carry as a family when you know that the school system is not working for your child and yet you don't actually have the capacity to do anything else.
Yeah.
So I had wonderful conversations. I love connecting with people. But we talked about homeschool on Tuesday as we answered Carrie's question.
Right.
But I thought that would be really good today to just revisit it in a different light.
Well, we've had a really good week this week.
We have had a good week.
And homeschooling is getting better. It's taken us 9 months.
Well, you were talking to me and I was like, this is like we're in term 3. But you reminded me, we actually pulled the kids out term 4 last year.
Yeah, end of term 3, we said, that's it, we're done.
So we've had 9 months at home and it's actually been really challenging. And probably you're laughing because it's actually been more challenging for you than me from the point of view that it has literally totally turned my life upside down, which means I haven't been able to support you in the way you're used to as well.
When we were talking about what we would discuss in the podcast, you highlighted something and I want to bring it up because it resonated for me as much, if not more than for you. And that is when you started the homeschooling process, and this has really fallen to you and your shoulders, you really wanted to have, okay, we're going to do this every morning from 9 till 10, and we're going to do this every day from 12 till 2. Like there was going to be structure, really clear structure. We felt like that was the way that it had to be. And that proved to be, I don't want to say disastrous.
It kind of was.
Okay, disastrous.
It was.
And you just highlighted that letting go of the need for structure, but still having flexibility and having structure, but not rigidity around the structure has been the key thing.
It really has. I remember having a conversation with a homeschooling family and they just said to me, if you are just taking school out of schooling, then you've missed the point of homeschool. The idea that I would have a set structure and we would have set lessons.
Can I have a recess every morning from 11:15 to 12:45? Yeah.
She said that's not why you do homeschool. Your child was struggling in that setting in the first place. So you kind of coming in and just taking the teacher out of the equation.
Or becoming the teacher yourself.
Doesn't change the dynamics of what your child is experiencing. So that has probably been the biggest learning for me, is just the acknowledgement that we really have needed to let go of my perceptions of what schooling would look like at home and allowing Emily the autonomy to kind of lead the way. So what does school look like for her?
So what's been the big breakthrough this week? What was the I'll do better tomorrow intentional thing where you just said, yep, this is what I need to talk about, other than the fact that everyone last week was asking about it?
As part of the structure of school, in my mind, I needed to be available to her 24/7. And if she wasn't ready to do schooling, then I kind of was sitting waiting to pounce on that window of opportunity where she was like, okay, I'm ready. And so I didn't feel like I could start anything. I didn't feel like I could do anything, because that would then show her that I wasn't ready for her.
Yeah, so if you start cleaning the house, cooking a meal, doing something for you, reading a book, whatever, all of a sudden you're even less available, which means she has less need to do anything.
Or inclination to. But what I have discovered as we've worked through this process together is sometimes she actually doesn't want to do schoolwork when I would like her to. And that's okay. If I take the pressure off it, she actually is more inclined to come back a lot faster and a lot quicker than if I was to say, we just need to do this and we do need to do it now. And while she's doing that, I just say to her, well, while I'm waiting for you, I'm just going to get on with the dishes, or I'm just going to vacuum the lounge room. You let me know when you're ready. And we're at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the house is mostly clean, the washing's hung, the dishes are done, I've taken a child to school, and we've got through 2 lessons before 10 o'clock.
It's been game-changing to watch, and this is, I guess, the dream. This is what we've worked for, but for the last 9 months, I haven't thought it was possible. And
I didn't think it was possible either. Even to the point that if I was to do those things 9 months ago, and try and do it didn't work, because I tried it, and that's what I mean. So as soon as I was not 100% focused on her, she lost interest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I couldn't say I'm just going to do the dishes while she was doing that. Like in the dream, it was like she'd sit at the table and she'd work on her thing and I'd cook dinner.
And so she's telling us that she doesn't want to go back to school until grade 7, currently in grade 4. And I've been just thinking, oh no, well, like, how are we going to get through this? But after the last week or so, I'm sort of going, this is fun. I really like it, and I like having her around. And our 14-year-old daughter, Lily, she's doing great with her grade 9 homeschooling as well. And shock of all shocks, they've both asked us, can we get a maths tutor? And so we're currently investigating what that's going to look like, because they're both realizing that they're not keeping up with that one particular subject, that one area of work, and they're asking for it rather than us saying, you need help, you need this, you need that. They're coming to us and saying, this is hard, self-directed, can't figure it out, need help.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, I'll do better tomorrow.
Well, tell me. Big pause. I sound like this sounds like a grand announcement.
No, it's not really. After weeks of being away, mainly for travel and work, but also our trip away, I've been home for the whole week. I haven't had any events that I've had to go to, been able to work on my book, been able to just get back into a routine that's going to get ruined next week when I start traveling again. But nevertheless, started exercising. Feels like a new me. I got a new bike because I sold my bike at the end of last year. I've always been a cyclist. I love cycling. Got rid of it, decided I didn't have time for it. I've now decided that I have to have it. And I feel so good. I've gotten back in the pool. I've started doing some laps and doing some swimming. But there's one thing that I've started to do, and it's made me a better dad this week. Because our office is at home, because I work from home, it's very easy for me to get completely absorbed endlessly all day in work and not have effective boundaries and barriers. This week, I've committed to writing down each night the 3 things that are most important for me to do the next day in the office. Working on my book, recording podcasts, and taking care of whatever else needs to be done. And I'm limiting it to 3. As I've done this, I found that I'm more productive, I'm more efficient, and that means that I'm getting things finished earlier which means that I've got more time to take care of the administrivia that sort of interrupts my day all day when I'm just doing whatever lands on my desk. But I'm also finishing work earlier.
Well, it's the idea of making sure that the big rocks go in first, right?
First things first.
Yeah. And so often when we do a to-do list, we write this big, long list, and then we get that sense of overwhelm because there's 15 things on our list.
Exactly.
And it just feels like, where do I even start?
Right. And the funny thing is that once those 3 big things are done, which is usually somewhere between, 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock, at least that's how it's been this week, I've then got, half an hour and a half to just work on the less important things. And I'm still getting out of the office earlier than I've ever gotten out, helping you in the house, doing some yard work, spending time with the kids, going for a walk. Like, I just feel like I'm a better dad because I've done that one simple thing. And it's got nothing to do with parenting, but it's made me a better father and husband.
Well, it makes you more available. And therefore, you are a better husband and a better father.
So we hope that's given you some inspiration this week, whether you're thinking about homeschooling, whether you think that we're nuts for doing it and it was just interesting to listen to, or whether you just want to be more productive and effective. That is our I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Anything else from you?
No.
Okay. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the Happy Families podcast. It's produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Love your work, JR. Thank you so much for the wonderful way that you do that. If you'd like more information about making your family happier, check out our brand new Happy Families membership. We've revamped it. We've revitalized it. We've added a special component for you to work on with your children. It's called FELT, Fostering Emotional Learning Together. Activities to work on with your kids to help them with their anger management, their emotion regulation, and a whole lot of other things. It's all in the Happy Families membership. Find it at happyfamilies.com.au.